We find ourselves in the north of England, in a place called Toffken Moor. Here is the Great North Road heading up towards the western side of the table, flanked by the two hills, Ply Hill and Downhill, with the road cutting through a place called Tapster Cut. Here's the Mardle Inn, and here is the River Mardle running south-north, there we go, crossed by a substantial stone bridge and a small pontoon bridge recently built by the Scots. So let's see what's going to happen here today. So, deployments. The Scots have come down in force this time after their early repulse. So they now have a camp on the northern side of the Great North Road, which is currently running west-south, just to really throw me off. So in the centre they've got infantry just waking up and forming into their pike and shot blocks. Over on their right flank they've got again infantry forming up and their cavalry's returning from foraging late last night, early this morning, however you want to look at it. And over on this side, Alexander MacDonald, the commander of last battle, he's now currently holding the pontoon. Well, he's woken up early and has sent some troops or some reinforcements to hold the pontoon, anticipating that the Royalists might arrive. And they have. And here are the Royalists. And over on this side is Fop, the adversary of Alexander MacDonald. But this time he's not in charge. This time Prince Rupert himself, the little round guy down there, he himself has come along with his extra cavalry and some chunk of infantry extra to help, and more importantly, some big guns. And in which case he also deployed some smaller guns on this spur of land, just to try and give a bit of cover for the advancing troops, because they're all in a bit of flux at the moment. They've all woken each other up. So let's see how this battle's going to go, shall we? Turn 1, opening moves. The Royalists got the initiative, and Rupert immediately sent his cavalry off down the left flank, managed to get all 5 squadrons or units or whatever they are heading around these trees to try and deal with these Scots on the North Road. In the centre, he managed to get some of his pike and shot blocks over the bridge and deployed, and get some of his commanded shot up and a unit of dragoons up towards the Mardle Inn. The right-hand flank didn't achieve anything, just failed their roll, and they'd already used the re-roll to try and get all that cavalry as one block to go round the left. The Scots, less successful. The centre, the pike and shot blocks managed to move up and get some disorder on the crossing Royalists, and managed to cause some casualty to the commanded shot of the Royalists. The left-hand flank, the pontoon unit, they only managed to get 1 dragoon over, the other one blundered, and over on the right-hand side, nobody moved. So it must be a bit too early for them. And one unit of frame guns managed to get a shot off at the Rupert's cavalry and missed. So there we are. Let's see what turn 2 brings. Okay, turn 2, plenty of engagements. So on the Royalist right flank, they got some units to move up and deployed a unit of dragoons. A bit of a firefight here, which disordered the Scots, but as you can see, the Scottish their left flank, didn't manage to do anything. They failed their orders. In the centre, the Royalists didn't get very far, and on the left-hand side, there was a bit of action. The Royalists charged in, full pelt, and it was a draw. The Scots held them at bay. And then the Scots have now managed to deploy reasonably well, and equal casualties both sides, 1-1. The infantry here, on this side of the Scots, didn't manage to get up. There's been very little gunfire, or heavy gunfire, from the Scots. But in the centre, the Scottish infantry has done quite a bit. They engaged with the commanded shot, pushed them back. Both have been disordered in the process, and all this needs to come off, and this one needs to come off. And the Scots are, well, they're holding the centre quite well. They're pinning the Royalists between the bridge and themselves. So and there's a bit of a backlog there. So let's see what the next turn brings. Turn 3, bit of a spicy turn this one. So the Royalists managed to advance up, managed to withdraw their dragoons and push their pike and shot up. There's a bit of musketry here, with the Scots taking, the dragoons taking casualties, but not the blocks themselves. A bit of a reorganisation by the ford just to get some more guns to bear. In the centre, the Royalists managed to get some troops up, but the Scots managed to, one, destroy a unit of pike and shot, but on this one, they're just about holding by the skin of their teeth, the Scots are, in this battle. They've become shaken, but we'll see if we can get a bit more, a few more pikes and guns to bear on them. But essentially, the Scottish infantry, pretty solid. There was a charge over here, the Royalists charged in, and the Scots countercharged, and by some miracle, the Royalists only rolled ones, so the Royalists lost that one, had to run off, and the Scots took no casualties. And in the interim, the infantry have managed to push through between the hills, through Tapster cutting, and are now deployed along the road. Again, the Scottish guns have achieved nothing, and the infantry in the centre is, well, now there's a gap opened up, I think they'll be sweeping through. So let's see what the next turn brings. Turn 4, lots of bloodshed. So the Scots are finally getting their act together across the pontoon. They're getting their units across. Stalemated fight in the middle here. The Royalists in the centre, they're getting guns up, but they've also lost a lot of pike and shot in the centre. They've got another unit coming over. Most of their infantry is now concentrated on the eastern side of the River Marle. The Scots are not doing particularly great manoeuvrability-wise anywhere, though. I mean, they're moving up, and they're more like a sort of meat grinder, really. They're steadily moving their way forwards, but there's no great dynamism in their forces. The cavalry's not move this turn. The infantry's taking pot shots from the trees, but again, not really anything. So I think the Royalists are going to have to either shake things up a bit, because their foot regiment game isn't going particularly well. And I mean, the river there with the amount of guns, I mean, they're just going to be decimated if they can't do something. We'll see what the next turn brings. Bit of a reprieve for the Royalists. So Rupert's attempted to try and bring cavalry from the left flank, because this doesn't look particularly appealing to charge up. Sadly, only got one unit away before it all failed, so he himself has now ridden over here to try and improve their odds. In the centre, bit of a firefight. These two Scottish pike and block units, pike shot units, are shaken now, so there's a potential to break through. On this right-hand flank, complete nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing. Still a bit of a fight going on here still now that these dragoons, the Scottish dragoons, blundered. First action of the Scottish turn. They blundered, and they decided to charge in and follow up their bigger brethren. And that was all they achieved. Some firing, but nothing much. As I say, they've got the troops. They're flagging a bit in the middle. So let's see what the next turn brings. So Rupert has managed to finally withdraw most of his cavalry. There was a skirmish over here, where this cavalry charged into those disordered lancers over there, and there was another charge with this unit of pike and shot formed hedgehog, but took a huge amount of casualties compared to the Royalists, who took none really. A bit of disorder here from some gunfire on the cavalry from this pike and shot unit. The Scottish guns really aren't in a great position to shoot anybody when all their troops are in the way. The bridge, this unit is advancing. They've managed to sort of pound quite a lot of the pike and shot, the Royalist pike and shot. So they're almost on par, really. So the centre's to be lost almost by the Royalists. The right-hand flank, finally, the Royalists have pushed through and managed to disorder and push back the pike and shot unit and the supporting dragoons, both disordered, now trying to get back across the bridge. Interesting fight. I'd like to see what the next turn does. Well, some developments. Incredibly bloody fighting at the pontoon on the Scots' left flank. Destroyed both blocks of infantry. And now the Royalists are trying to bring up the next wave. But this line of musketry and ordnance is pounding and disordering the approaching troops as they come over the ridge. So that should be interesting to see where that goes. All these royalist guns are finally deploying, but they've got the same bad luck as the Scots in terms of their troops always seem to be just in the way. The previous turn, I probably should have mentioned, there was one good shot which came up the river and took out one of the defending Scottish commanded shot or dragoon units. I can't remember which one, but some muskets have gone anyway. In the centre, these two armies, well, these two forces appear to be shouting at each other and shooting. Neither got away with much. Just mounting casualties, and that's about it, really. The left-hand side. Now, I was led to believe that Prince Rupert, this guy here with his dog, was an excellent cavalry commander. In fact, I've read several books which said he was amazing. On this particular battlefield, though, he's herding cats, it seems, because they're not doing anything he wants them to do, apart from trying to blunder and run away. This unit, I'd hoped, would go forwards, but instead they've almost gone off the field. Thankfully, the Scots seem just as inept, though, for I hope their right-hand flank, I intended to sort of sweep through and do a bit of work, and with their solid infantry in the centre, bring it all through, but they're struggling as well. So, yeah, I think the Scots may take this, though, because there are very few reserves for the Royalists, but, well, we'll see what the next turn brings. It's a good old battle, this one. Well, okay, the right-hand Royalist flank has advanced up, got rid of their disorder, minimal casualties, managing to sort of slowly squeeze the pontoon defenders, so an assault's brewing there. These guns not doing much, bit of a line they can get to shoot a few things, but they're not in the greatest positions. The centre, all that's left really is the commander and some dragoons of the Royalists, because the Pike and Shot blocks got destroyed. This, which I thought was going to run at some point, they had 9 disorder on them at one point, or nine stamina loss, but they've managed to rally quite successfully. The Royalist cavalry, well, what can I say? They charged here and died. They charged here and died. They charged here and died. So now they're half strength, which isn't great. That said, however, their opposite equal didn't do anything. They can't get out of Hedgehog. They're not advancing. Their guns can't see anybody. This infantry is just hanging back. Yeah, so the centre's got a choice of either swinging into the remaining cavalry, trying to get over the bridge, or maybe reinforcing up here. I don't know. We'll see what the next turn brings. The assault across the River Mardle has begun. The Royalists taking more casualties than they really wanted to, as per usual. Bit of disorder both sides, but the Scots can take less of a pounding than the Royalists can, so I think they're going to take it next turn. That's about all the good news for the Royalists, however, because their cavalry is now down to 2 units. That's it. And they're being squeezed by the Scots finally getting into gear, brought their cavalry round, and are now threatening the flank. Their infantry is finally coming up, and has come out of Hedgehog, well, mostly. So all that's left really is this unit of, dragoons? Yeah, unit of dragoons, 2 units of cavalry in the centre, and Rupert, poor Rupert, is getting squeezed. So yeah, I think despite a little bit of success there, I think this might be the death knell for the Royalist cause in the north. Battle of Toffken Moor is over. The assault across the river failed. The Royalists just couldn't get their troops organised enough to get across the bridge. So much disorder, so many creeping casualties. These plucky band of Scots have managed to keep, 2 waves from crossing? And these cuirassiers haven't moved at all game, really. They've achieved absolutely nothing. Rupert tried to break out and do something with his remaining cavalry, but one was wiped out in a main charge, and then this unit's just disordered, and they're not coming back from that. The Scots still have got plenty of troops. Some have never even got engaged. They've still got 1 unit in Hedgehog, can't seem to get them out. And I said their guns, which achieved nothing other than just to... Well, I mean, no, they achieved nothing. They achieved absolutely nothing. But there we go. That was a fun game, I think. So yeah, the Royalist cause is not looking particularly healthy in this part of northern England. But that's it. The Battle of Toffken Moor. Hope you enjoyed it. See ya.